also known as CHIRLA. So as you all see, we will be recording this session throughout the whole presentation. So folks at home, if you're unable to join us, you'll also be able to get the resources available to you today. Right at the end, we are going to cut it off before our Q&A session. So folks, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll get there later on today. So we'll just get started here. Give me 2 seconds. Perfect. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today on our workshop number 2, right? Really giving financial resources for undocumented students at the Cal State level. Before we actually get into it, I'm going to introduce the team. So we'll go down the line from left to right. So I'm going to hand it over to Lupita.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us and tuning in. So my name is Lupita Martinez. I am the CDN statewide organizer. If you're in the LA region or coastal region and want to get involved, please feel free to send me a quick email and I will be more than happy to get you plugged in.
Hey everyone, my name is Janet Bucio. I'm the Southern Regional Organizer for the California Dream Network. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella, and I'm a Cal Poly Pomona alumni. And yeah, like Lupita mentioned, if any of you are like on the edge of LA County, either from Mount Sac, Pomona, Riverside, or Irvine area, like hit me up and I can help you with whatever resources you need.
Perfect, thank you, Janet. Hello everyone, again, my name is Gloria. As I mentioned earlier, I am the Central Valley organizer for the California Dream Network, so organized from Bakersfield all the way up to Stockton, within the Valley, and everything in between. Thank you so much for jumping on. I'll pass it over to Eva.
Thank you, Gloria. And finally, I'm Eva, and I'm the Northern organizer. So I organize up here in Sacramento, Davis area, and in the Bay. So I'm off of here in Sacramento. Thank you all for being here.
Perfect. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And as you know, we got to introduce the team to you. So basically what to expect during this workshop. You're going to learn a little bit more about the California Dream Network and our statewide team, right? We just introduced you. Also understand the purpose of our California Dream Act campaign, and also receive firsthand experience and resources from undocumented college students and college professionals that are with us today. So as we go on, this quote really embodies the essence, right, and the mission of the California Dream Network. Serve as a base for mobilization, politicization, and empowerment of young people, regardless of their citizenship status, political affiliation, gender, sexual orientation, ethnic nationality, and the larger social movement for equal access to education, immigration reform, economic and social justice. So as a nutshell, right, of what we're all about from there. Within the CDN, California Dream Network, we do have multiple opportunities, and some of them are leadership trainings, right, to really work on your leadership skills, local, state, and national advocacy, steering committee, right, folks that steer where we advocate within state, national, and local, community organizing, phone banking, right, making phone calls to voters, canvassing, knocking on doors, DC Capitol advocacy trips, as you see right on the right, different photos of our members really doing their part, right, within the movement. Marches, rallies, protests, civil disobedience, and of course our Summer Leadership Academy, getting really more involved in knowing who we are. And then within our advocacy, as you see here, this is actually a picture back in 2014, the California Dream Network students, right, undocumented students, they really wanted to establish a center that would really benefit our undocumented communities, right, within their prospective universities. They continue advocating, and of course, we advocated for the bill back in 2017-18, the Dreamer Liaison bill, which really allows counselors, staff, coordinators to know all this information, right, resources to help guide you at your colleges, right, universities, private institutions, wherever it may be. And so we're really glad that some of these folks came back to really pay it forward to y'all to really see what everyone's about, right, within their centers there. Now, as the reason why we created the California Dream Act campaign was that, assembly bills such as AB 540, AB 130, AB 131 really established this educational benefits, right? And one of them, of course, was the California Dream Act, right? Not to get it confused with the federal, but here financial aid, right, for folks. And so essentially, some of the challenges were health and mental health issues. So at least about 70% of people noticed that, they reported, stress, right? COVID, the pandemic hit, right? Something in those sorts, financial instability, really having to work different hours. Is it work increase, decrease? Is it the food increasement, right? Whatever it may be that really impacted financially. Barriers to schooling, not finding different areas to really study in quiet places, and other sorts like that. And also misconceptions, right? Knowing that there's a misconception between the Daca program, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. As it got rescinded, folks believe that they can no longer continue their education, and that's not the case, right? So this is why we're here today, to really embody the different resources to show you that you can continue your higher education regardless of your citizenship status from there. So with that being said, I want to give you a quick roadmap of where we are. And so of course, one of them was our community college workshop last week. Today, we do have our CSU Undocumented student workshop. Tomorrow, we have our workshop for private Undocumented students, right? We have our UC Undocumented students workshop next week. We are going to have conversations and meetings with our statewide Dream Resource Center coalition meeting, where we invite everyone throughout the state to come together as coordinators, staff of the centers, to make sure that we're all up to date and what we can do to advocate. And of course, the big number, right? March 2nd, which is the deadline for the California Dream Act application, and also FOSFA, right? For folks from mixed status families. Before we get into these wonderful presentations, I just want to introduce the wonderful speakers that came back, right, to really give you these. And the first speaker we have is Diana, who is a CSU Fullerton Community Liaison. She will be speaking of resources around those areas. Next, we have Stephanie, CSU San Bernardino Undocumented Student Success Counselor. Ooh, mouthful, but wonderful position, right? We'll also be talking about the resources around those regions and areas. Then we have Brian, CHIRLA's Department of Justice accredited representative, really talking about CHIRLA's legal services and how to get consultations and so forth with us. And of course, we have Rita, our Deputy Director, State Policy and Advocacy, that will be discussing the California Dream Incentive Program and the Dream Loan Program. So let's get started. I'll pass it over to Diana. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here as well. So yeah, my name is Diana. I'm currently at Cal State Fullerton. I did my bachelor's in psychology. I'm currently doing a master's in counseling and a training. I'm a trainee right now at OC Healthcare Agency as a marriage and family therapist. So I will share some resources that we have at Cal State Fullerton. And if we can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the really big resources that I've used a lot throughout my stay at Cal State Fullerton is the Tying Dreamers Resource Center. This was one of the first resource centers at the Cal States. It is located in the library in the first floor, and I put the information there along with the email and phone number if anyone wants to reach out to them. So some of the services they offer here are webinars, and this can look like how to do your own business using your IT number. It's just one example. They also have free immigration legal services through Carecen, which is another service, another nonprofit that offers services for undocumented people here in California. And some of the services they have is Daca renewals, citizenship applications, family petitions, U visas, and much more. These are free services to the students as well as staff on campus. And I believe they are taking some, if you have a family member that goes to Cal State Fullerton, they also help you. They don't pay for the fee, but they will help you fill out the applications and the forms. Along with that, they also have referrals to other legal counsels outside of campus. and they have other engagement opportunities. They have a lot of workshops at school. They help you engage more with other centers that they have. We are actually one of the 5 centers on campus, and they have a lot of different workshops that they collaborate with other services. We have an Undocumented training for faculty and staff on campus, and they also collab with the psychological services on campus to do group therapy at the center. And at the end of the year, we have a yearly Dreamers Recognition Celebration, which is like the graduation for our students, specifically Dreamers or any other undocumented student on campus. And if we can go to the next slide. Okay, so these are some of the scholarships that we have at Cal State Fullerton that do not require a citizenship, does not have a requirement to have citizenship. I know some of the ones that we have specifically for undocumented students is through the ASI if we see on the right side, we have the Tie-In Dreamers Scholarship, which is $1,000 per semester. You can apply as many times as you want every semester, as long as it's your second semester. So not the first semester you're there, but any time after that semester you can apply, and they don't have a GPA requirement. And let me see, we also have the Tie-In Shops Book Loan Scholarship. This is specifically for the bookstore, and they can give you up to $250 per semester. And I forgot to say, for the Tie-In Dreamers Scholarship, they have up to 10 scholarships per semester. So every semester, 10 students get this award. And another cool one that I know I've received myself before is if you see under university scholarships, on the bottom right, they have the Palante Fellowship. This is for grad students specifically, and they give you $500 per semester, as well as they match you with a faculty mentor throughout the whole year. So it's $500 for one semester and $500 for the next semester. And they give you also workshops that are specific to how to manage grad school and how to build your resumes. They have a lot of more empowering workshops for grad students. So that's another cool one. And as you can see, we have a variety. One thing that I always tell students is check through your department specifically. They have a lot of specific scholarships that are only for those departments. So for example, the Chicana department, they have some scholarships are specifically for their students. And a lot of the times no one applies for them and the money just stays there. So let's make sure that we look through everywhere and try to apply to as many as you can. A lot of them, they don't even require an essay. It's just as easy as just putting your campus information and maybe doing like, I know the easiest one that I got last semester was for the bookstore, and they gave me like $100. It took me like 5 minutes to apply for it. So sometimes we think it's like a whole essay that we have to do, and most of the time it's not. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And if we can go to the next slide. Other services that we have on campus is the Tuffy Basic Needs Center. This is kind of new. I believe we opened it about 3 years ago, and they offer meals through having guest cards, which you can use on campus for the different restaurants we have on campus at the moment. They also help applying for CalFresh. And there's this thing, it's called tie-in bites. Most of the time we have a lot of events. Well, pre-pandemic, we had a lot of events where they would give out food. And if they had any food left over, they would send an email to everyone that signed up to tie-in bites to let them know that there was food on whatever location it was. And then you can go, you could go and just pick up the food. They didn't ask any questions. So that was really cool. Most of the time it was like really fancy food too. So it was nice, and it's free. We also just opened the Food Pantry about, I think last year. It's been open for a year, and you can get up to 10 items per week. And they have like fruits, veggies, eggs. I don't think we have meat, but they have canned food, pasta, bread, snacks, and you can get, like I said, you can get up to 10 items per week. And other services that they have at the Basic Needs Center is temporary housing. They can give you up to 2 weeks if you are in need, and financial support through grants. I believe it's $500 if you are in need of financial support. And we have hygiene items. You can get up to 5 items per month, and they're not like the little travel size, they're like full size. So that's super cool. And they don't ask any questions. Like I said, you just go, and then they'll ask for your Titan card, so like your school ID, you sign up, and then you just go in, pick what items you want, and then there they are for free. And Tuffy's Basic Needs Center, we have the career closet as well. You can get up to 6 items. These are mostly like professional clothing for if you need for like an interview, or you have to do a presentation and you have to dress up. You can get up to 6 items per month. And this will be located in the McCarthy Hall. And once again, I put there the phone number and email if you have any other questions for them. And the next slide. Okay, so like I mentioned, we do have CAPS, which is the Counseling Psychological Services on campus. You can get individual therapy, group therapy. They do have a psychiatrist on site. And I put a little screenshot of the group therapy sessions that they have at the moment. So just to share, they have like managing stress and anxiety during COVID. They have specific ones for cultural events like the Umoja Live, which is I believe they're doing it in collaboration with the African American Resource Center. They also have other ones like healing from trauma. They have other ones that are like more like artsy, like art therapy. So they have so many, it's really cool. And if you think about it, you're paying for this when you're paying tuition. So I would just say, take advantage of all of them. If you can go and you're free, make sure that you take advantage of these services, because at the end of the day, you are paying for it with your tuition. Okay, and then next slide. Okay, so health services, they have a full clinic on campus that you can use for either free or very, very low cost. I did not know this until like the second semester. So I would say if you need to go, just make an appointment, super easy. You can do it on through the Titan portal. Sometimes you have to speak to they have to get more information. So they'll make you do a quick phone appointment, but most of the time you can very easily do it through the portal. You don't have to talk to anyone. If anyone has like anxiety about calling people on the phone, it's really easy to make appointments. And these are just some of the examples of the services that they offer. They have the basic medical care and treatment. I think you can get like minor surgeries in there. They have labs, so you can get like tested. I'm anemic, so I get my blood test so I can check my levels in there, because it's really expensive when you do it outside on your own. So from here, it's all free. I think for medication, one time I had to get like some, I think it was like a cough syrup. It was like $3. So it's way cheaper than going to like a outside doctor. Other than that, I know they have other things. If you want to get like acupuncture, I think it's like $5 or $10 per visit. So I've never tried it, but that's something that's on my list to try it out for next semester. So that's super cool. Yes, they have so many other things. I'm like, okay, let's try it out. And then they have also, if you want to get like vaccinated or anything, all those are free. So you can get that in there. Okay, and the next slide. Okay, so lastly, I just wanted to share some of the community resources outside of campus. I know not everyone's going to go to Cal State Fullerton. So if you're anywhere else around the area, these are just some of the ones that I've used in the past, or I know from referrals that they exist, because I know Googling things is sometimes scary because you never know if they're real or not. So it's funny, I actually had a PowerPoint at work about OC Family Resource Centers. So apparently there's 16 over Orange County. I did not know that. So now I know. There's 16 different ones. They have like at least 4 in Anaheim. They have them all throughout Orange County. And some of the services that they provide And most of the time they're free services. So it's family support services. This can include like individual, group, and family therapy, emergency assistance, which can be like groceries, bus passes, gas station gift cards. So I know gas is like super expensive right now. Food distribution. So I believe the one that they presented on is Manzanita, which is in Anaheim, and they said they do once a month. So they'll give out food and they just come in, open your trunk, and they put, they'll give you some food in there. And they also mentioned that anyone's welcome. You don't have to live in that city. It just has to be you have to have a zip code from Orange County or LA County. And they'll just ask you for your zip code and how many people live in your house, and they'll give you the food. Other than that, they also have like job trainings, and they'll have, for those that need like childcare, they'll help you get membership for 1 year for Boys and Girls Club. So they have a lot of different resources in there. And like I said, they're mostly free. OC Resources, that website is specifically to find resources. And within Orange County, Latino Health Access, I know they help a lot with vaccination, especially right now in Orange with COVID. They had a lot of the testing for free, and also COVID vaccinations. And the 211 Orange County is also just to find resources. And you can, when you go to the website, you just put what kind of resources you need. And I believe it asks for like a zip code, and it'll give you a list of the places where they offer those resources. And lastly, the Regional Center for Orange County, that one is also similar. They're mostly just like a database to find resources within the area in Orange County. And then the picture that I put there, that's how the OC community resources look like. And like I said, you just put the kind of resources they have, like from housing to food pantries in the area, very easy to use. And then on the right, I put some of the legal resources that I know I've used in the past. Obviously, one of them is CHIRLA. I know they have helped me with my Daca renewal as well as paying for the fee. Informed Immigrant has a lot of really good information on their website, how to do advanced parole, finding other scholarships. I've also got some really good information from Korean Research Center. They have one office in LA and one in, I believe it's in Fullerton. It used to be in Buena Park, but I believe they moved to Fullerton. So they're around Orange County area. They also help you with the DACA renewal. And I know before in the past, they have also helped me with the fee. And ARI is a newer organization. They also help out with any legal documentation. They help you fill out the forms. They also have youth engagement. And I know they've done like, not group therapy, but like groups for the youth. And I've been part of like a couple of them. They've been really cool. So just being involved, I feel like that's something that really helps me feel more connected to the community outside of just going to school. But yeah, so I just wanted to share some of the ones that have helped me throughout my college journey, and these have been the ones. So if anyone has any specific questions about any of these, you can let me know. And that is it for me, and I'll pass it to Stephanie now.
All right, everyone, good afternoon. We're gonna go ahead and get started, make this quick and easy for all of us. All right, so I'm part of the Undocumented Student Success Center. I'm the academic advisor. I received my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, minor in Human Services. I'm also a graduate student. Pray for my soul, please. And I've been here at the Undocumented Student Success Center now as staff. I started off as an intern, and somehow I just keep coming back. Next slide, please. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. This looks like a lot, but I promise you I will bring it down for you guys. So the AB 540 is something that was touched on earlier. So the AB 540, it allows certain individuals to receive in-state tuition versus paying international student fees. And those are the requirements for, oh goodness gracious. Those are the requirements for folks to apply for the AB 540. And it's a form, it's quick, easy, simple. You put in your name, your student ID, as well as as well as 2 check marks, and you're able to receive your in-state tuition. And there's 3 ways you can receive in-state tuition, and if you qualify for one of these, you're good to go. Nobody wants to be paying out of international student fees. Next slide, please. All right, so March 2nd, everybody, we are all going to be repeating this. March 2nd, complete your California Dream Act, or if not, complete your verification if you're selected. Make sure you submit this. Most of our students are not applying for California Dream Act because as Gloria mentioned, our students are unaware that this is still a program and money is being left on the table, to the point where those students that do apply, they receive more financial aid because it's just on the table. So please, 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 if you want to receive financial aid, this is the way to do it. It's not the only way, but it is one of the ways to do it. And they're just handing out money. Claim the money, you know, it's right there. Use it. And let's see. So this financial aid can be used at public institutions. It's sponsored through Cal Grants and other means as well. And it is available for all of undocumented folks. And you do not need to complete tax forms to receive this financial aid. I do know that some of our folks are self-employed, and we will find a way to make sure that you're able to apply for the GADA application. And it's the California Dream Act application. Next slide, please. And sorry. And so now this year we have something new. Sorry guys, I'm in the office and there's students, so I can't remove my mask. So bear with me, please. So this year we have the California Dream Act Service Initiative grants. So I will answer your question in a minute. So the California Dream Act knows that, you know, there's always money and then a lot of the students, they want to receive some sort of compensation because for some, goodness gracious, I can't speak English today. So for some grants, for some programs, you're required to do an internship. And, you know, some people can afford to do an internship, but I don't know about you guys, when I was an undergrad, I had to receive some sort of financial compensation because I had bills to pay, and we all understand it. Most of these grants are exclude undocumented folks, which I think is unfair. And so this program is for our undocumented students, and they can receive up to this grant, and it is by campus, it is by institution. So if your institution is applying, contact financial aid, or if not, contact the Undocumented Student Success Center. Here at Cal State San Bernardino, we do offer it, and we're just waiting for students to apply. You know, once again, students aren't aware, and ask what other financial aid you can receive. And so what our students are doing here is they're doing a paid fellowship with the Undocumented Student Success Center, as well as learning how to do the GADA application, learning how to do CSU Apply, learning how to navigate scholarship websites. It's things that we have learned throughout the year that we are teaching folks, as well as being here on campus or virtual, at the moment in a virtual setting. But these are just resources that are available to all of our students. And once again, get that money, it's right there. Next slide, please. And this is a mouthful. All right, so once again, we are the Undocumented Student Success Center, and our goal is to empower students, prospective students, and current students to be successful in their educational journey. It doesn't matter what that may look like. Some folks realize that they just want to get their bachelor's degree. Other folks just want to transfer from a community college to a four-year institution. Even if you decide not to attend Cal State San Bernardino, we are here to help you, and we are here to serve the community. And so below our mission statement, I included our contact information as well as our hour operations. And so some of the services we do are peer mentoring. We assist students with the California Dream Act. Oh, and something I did forget to mention earlier is we also offer the Dream Loan Program. You know, nobody wants to have loans, but that is an option in case you're unable to have financial aid, or if your financial aid isn't enough. That is an option available. And then once again, we guide students on how to fill out the AB 540 form, selective service, which thankfully for the next academic year, we can remove that. The DREAM verification, as well as course planning, academic guidance, scholarship, fellowship resources, and once again, echoing everybody else, carecen, absolutely love carecen. Any legal assistance you have or questions that you may have, you can contact carecen and they will help you out. It is free, as well as you have immediate family members such as your parents, your grandparents, as well as siblings. They're applicable and they can receive service through carecen. Something we also do is we do academic support for math, biology, writing, and we do tutoring sessions. We also do have emergency grants up to 500 as for whatever reason it may be. Let's say you need money for your rent. Let's say you need money for books. And then once again, we do have the emergency legal fees, which is up to 500. I know this, well, during my time as a student, it covered my why am I saying CAVA? My Daca renewal. And so then we also work with bridging the gap for the PDC grant. So something a lot of folks don't know is that the CSUSP campus also has a campus in the Palm Desert area. So there's a main campus where I'm located, as well as the Palm Desert campus. So we serve both campuses. And then we have the Den, amazing, absolutely love them. And then emergency food pantries, as well as the Parent Engagement Rising Institute, which we teach students on how to, we teach students on how to be, parents, on how to empower their students, as well as support them, as well as making sure that they have the resources and knowledge that they may need. We also have the Know Your Rights workshop, which God forbid, that conversation we've all had growing up, the emergency plan, as well as what your rights are if you were to be detained by ICE, as well as mental health support, which is CLAPS as well. And then we have the financial aid, financial wellness workshops, as well as graduate school information. And next slide, please. And then this is our link tree. If you'd like to take a screenshot of it, you can, and that will direct you to everything that I just said, the links and everything, as well as the information. And so there's our little link tree. Next slide, please. And then community resources. I'm going to go through this fast, quick and easy. So there's this amazing website that was created. It's called Connect.ie. So what you would do is you just put in your zip code, and then it connects you with their different resources based on what you need. So let's say you need food, right? And then it'll tell you where there's going to be local food pantries, housing, in case you need emergency housing, goods, transit, health, in case you need money, care, education, as well as legal assistance. These are free or sliding scale resources available to the community, as well as rental assistance for the San Bernardino County, San Bernardino City, and Moreno Valley and Riverside County as well. So it has a lot of great information, as well as it has scholarships and centers that can help you in any domestic violence shelters, things like that. I believe that is it. Let's see.
Yes, thank you so much, Deanna and Stephanie, for presenting on those wonderful resources around those areas. Again, if y'all have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And also to remind you, we do have a Q&A right after these presentations. So we'll pass it over on to Brian to continue with our CHIRLA Legal Services. Take it away, Brian.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Guzman, and I am a DOJ accredited representative at CHIRLA Student Legal Services. Next slide, please. Thank you. So SLS, or Student Legal Services, is basically a project of CHIRLA's legal department. We are a department under the legal department, but our department can take all the cases that the legal department can. So the legal department is divided by the clinic, which takes naturalizations and Daca. Then they have family unity, where they take humanitarian cases and family-based immigration. We have removal defense, but SLS can take all of those cases in a single department. So CHIRLA, it's recognized by the Board of Immigration's Appeals, and it provides services, free services to immigrants at low cost. All the work, it's being supervised by a licensed attorney, regardless of having paralegals or DOJ reps. Everything that goes out is supervised by an attorney. Next slide, please. So we offer free consultations. You can visit the website chirla.org/legal, or I'll be sending a link where you can click and then see if we can book an appointment for you. We also offer Daca renewal clinics, and we can take in that clinic for initial requests as well. Even though the Daca initials are currently on hold, we can still help you prepare in that case. We also have every Friday from 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. a representative of the day, and it's basically a space where you can ask general questions, not case specific, but general questions of the services that we provide, or to see anything about immigration question that you have, but again, not pertaining to a specific case. Next slide, please. So we currently under SLS can help for California State University. We can help the students or alumni up to 2 years. We can help staff or faculty and the immediate family members of those listed above. The difference is that for community college, we can only help students, staff, and faculty for the cases. Next slide, please. So the type of cases that we can take under SLS are basically U visas. We can help you obtain a green card via family member. We can help lawful permanent residents become naturalized. We can help with DACAs, initials, renewal request. And there are some other types of applications that this specific department can take and the other departments at CHIRLA can't, such as advanced parole. We can help you renew your green card. If you have a specific green card with conditions, we can help you remove those conditions under that green card. We can help you replace your employment authorization card, and we can obtain a background check through FOIA, which is Freedom of Information Act. So for the sake of time, I won't explain too much into detail about the type of cases that we take, but I will be concrete on the cases that we do take, so that if you think that you can qualify for any type of relief, you can do an appointment and then we can screen you and see if we can offer you any type of help. So starting with the U visa. Next slide, please. So basically what a U visa is, it's a non-immigrant visa for someone that has been the victim of violent crime. Immigration lists the specific crime, but each jurisdiction, each state who can list the same crime in different wording. So it's important that if you have been the victim of a crime, possibly check if this route could allow you to obtain that non-immigrant visa that could lead to an eventual green card. It's a long wait time, but it's worth it if you do not have any other options. So again, it's just basically a visa if you are the victim of a violent crime that is specific to a list of crimes that USCIS recognizes. Next slide, please. Then we can help you with the family-based immigration or the family visas. And this is for having a valid relationship with LPR, which is a lawful permanent resident, or a US citizen. So if you have a relationship, meaning that you're the spouse, parent, child, or sibling of a US citizen, or if you're the spouse or parent of a green card holder, they might be an option for you. Next slide, please. So when you're doing a family-based application, there's different ways to do it. So the first one is do an adjustment of status. That means that the entire process is inside the United States. There are some requirements to qualify for the process in the United States. The first one is to have that valid relationship. The second one is to have a legal entry into the United States. Sometimes they do not consider the overstay, meaning that you enter here, for example, with the tourist visa, but then you overstay the allowed time, it would not matter if you have an immediate relative for you, such as a spouse, a child, or a parent if you're under 21. And then for the other categories, you need to be on status to apply for adjustment of status. Again, you do not have to have any disqualifying criminal or immigration violations on your record, and a visa must be available to you. So depending on who's petitioning you, there might be a wait time to claim that visa. Immediate relatives such as spouses, children, or parents, U.S. citizen under 21, they always have a visa available to them. Next slide, please. You will see on screen some exceptions to that legal entry requirement. So people that fall under any of the four listed could do the adjustment of status, meaning that they can do the process here in the United States without having a lawful entry. We see the 245I, which is basically to have an old petition filed on or before April 30th of 2001, parole in place. We have advanced parole or TPS. Those are just examples of ways to get around the lawful entry and inspection requirement. Next slide, please. Then we have the consular process. It's almost the same, but this is takes place in a consulate or embassy abroad. So someone that does not qualify for the adjustment of status will have to do what's called a consular process and attend an interview abroad. Next slide, please. So the requirements, again, is to have that family relationship with a qualifying member. Then you're either outside of the United States, meaning that the person has never been in the US, or if they are in the US, they simply do not qualify for adjustment of status. Similar, they do not have, they need to have a clean record, meaning no criminal or immigration violations, and a visa must be available to them. But that's simple because you won't get an appointment unless the visa is available to you to attend. Next slide, please. Then we have VAWAS. It stands for Violence Against Women Act, and it's basically allows an immigrant, regardless of the gender, to self-petition based on the suffering caused by either a lawful permanent resident or a U.S. citizen. Next slide, please. You may qualify if you are the victim of battery or extreme emotional cruelty committed by either a U.S. citizen spouse, former spouse, parent, son, or daughter, or if the relationship is from a permanent resident, it only allows it for spouses, former spouses, or parents. Next slide, please. So VAWA solves the problem of someone eligible for a family visa through a relative who is abusive. Former spouses, they have a condition. If you divorce the abusive partner, you have 2 years to file the VAWA. Otherwise, you will not qualify for this type of relief. However, if there's a police report, some investigation, you may still qualify for a U visa, since domestic violence is one of the crimes that U visa does recognize. Next slide, please. So similar to other cases, the waiting times for VAWA are subject to change. Currently, COVID has affected all the processing times for all types of cases, so it really depends on the time that you file your application. Next slide, please. Now we have naturalization, which basically allows a permanent resident to become a U.S. citizen. That process is called naturalization. Next slide, please. So the basic requirements for someone to apply for citizenship is to be 18 years or older, must have that green card for 5 years or 3 years if they're married to a U.S. citizen, and that's the way they obtain the green card in the first place. They check for good moral character in something called statutory period of 5 years. So during the 5 years, they will check that you do not have any significant arrests or incidents, and they can oversee incidents that happen beyond those 5-year period. But it really depends on the specifics of your case. The fourth requirement is that you must not have abandoned your residency, meaning that you did not depart in the United States for more than 12 or 6 months at a time. Something that sounds similar, but it's different, is that at the time that you apply for citizenship, you must be physically present 50% of the time when you apply. So they will count those 5 or 3 years. And from that time, you at least need to be present in the United States 50% of the time. And then there's also to the test, the interview. They will check that you have knowledge of the civic history of the United States, and then in the English portion. However, there are some exceptions based on age, when you got your green card, and if you have any medical disability, that could be a way to be exempted from the actual civic or English test. Next slide, please. Then we have DACAs. As you may all know, DACAs are an executive order created by President Obama in June 15, 2012, and it provides deferred action, which is basically protection from deportation. But then there are also benefits attached to it, like obtaining a work permit, Social Security, the ability to apply for a travel permit known as advanced parole, and in some states it allowed students or people to apply for other type of benefits. Next slide, please. So the requirements for DACA are listed here. So the first one is to be under the age of 31 as of June 15, 2012. What that means basically is that you were born on or after June 16, 1981. And then at the time that you apply, you must be at least 15 years of age. And then you come to the United States before reaching your 60th birthday, have continuously be present in the United States from June 15, 2007 to the day that you apply. So you need to provide evidence from your physical presence from that date to the present day that you apply. And then there's another requirement. It's basically to be present on the specific date of June 15, 2012. In my experience, it's really hard to prove evidence of that specific date, but if you have evidence of that year, that same month, or the attached months, then you should be fine. Next slide, please. The other requirement is that you must not have lawful status on June 15, 2012. Again, very specific to a date, hard to demonstrate. You are currently in school, have graduated school, or obtained a high school diploma or any other type of general education certificate like GED. And then the last requirement, similar to other types of immigration reliefs, is that you must not have been convicted of a felony or significant misdemeanor or other 3 misdemeanors. So on the next slide, I will explain what for immigration purposes is considered a significant misdemeanor. So a significant misdemeanor could be any misdemeanor that the sentence is of 91 days or more, or if it's a misdemeanor for the following types of crimes, such as domestic violence, sexual abuse, burglary, firearms, anything related to drugs or DUI could be significant misdemeanor. Again, it really depends on your specific case. Next slide, please. So I know I talked a lot and probably really fast. So here's the summary of the services that we offer. We offer help with U visas, green card, family-based green cards, either inside the United States, outside the United States, naturalization for lawful permanent residents, DACAs, initials or renewal requests, and other types of applications such as FOIA, green card renewals, removal of conditions, and replacements of work authorizations, employment authorization. The only thing I want to mention, if anyone is a green card holder and their green card expires in 2 years, they must really consider the removal of conditions, because if someone does not remove those conditions on a green card, then you may even lose the green card. It's not the same thing as a renewing it. It's specific to your case, and people are given those cards when they're married with someone for less than 2 years. And again, any questions, I'll be sharing the links, because I'm sure that you won't be able to click links on the slides. So next slide, please. So here's all the information, the representative of the day, and then how to book an appointment with those every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Again, I share the links right here. If you think you qualify for something, it might be worth it. So we'll be here to help you. Thank you all for your time. That'll be it.
Thank you so much, Brian, for this very informative presentation, right, of all of our legal services provided to you. Once again, feel free to drop in the chat any questions you have, and we also have a Q&A. With that being said, I'll actually pass it over to Rita, who will be covering the California DREAM Act Service Incentive Grant Program and the DREAM Loan Program. Take it away, Rita.
Hi, thank you, everybody. So I will be really quick because I feel like some of this was talked about a little bit, but really just going into a few more details about what these programs are, how to access them, et cetera. So I think the first thing is that some of these programs, specifically the Dream Service Incentive Grant, which is the first one I'm going to talk about, are newer programs, or they're programs that have been around for a while, but there have been policy shifts and changes that have expanded access. And so I say that because I think at this point, as advocates and the California Student Aid Commission, I think in combination, we're understanding what are some of the opportunities and challenges about, one, getting the word out about these programs. So it was mentioned several times before, not leaving money on the table, which is the point of us being together. But two, how to make the programs actually work for full-time students, part-time students, students who are parents, students who are caretakers. We all have a lot on our plates as human beings. And so how do we make accessing some of these financial resources just doable and not so overwhelming? And so I want to just say that, and kind of like any kind of suggestions or questions that you have. All of these programs, or the two that I'm going to talk about, are also programs that you can always reach out to the California Student Aid Commission about directly when it comes to asking technical questions or specific questions about your eligibility. And I'm going to have the link in here for CSAC and their website, but realizing now with Brian's point, you can't click on it. We're not on a computer, so hopefully someone can share that in the chat. But I encourage you to visit the CSAC website for all of these things. So starting with the Dream Service Incentive Grant. And I want to say that the key to both this and Dream Loans, as was mentioned before, sort of the key to unlocking a lot of opportunities on financial resources is definitely making sure you don't miss the window for application of the California Dream Act. That is a huge, like if we're talking about the roadmap, that is such a big piece of this. And so having that on your calendar, making that the first barrier to tear down is super important. But let's talk about DSIG. So Dream Service Incentive Grant, DSIG for short, that's kind of like the acronym that a lot of people use when referring to this program. So this came out of a need, one, to create more resources for undocumented students, but two, to think about what is a creative way to provide a learning space for students. So you're getting the financial resources that can support you through your academic journey, but you're also getting some firsthand experience, as was mentioned, internships, fellowships, those are all really important. So how do you combine the two? You're getting paid to do something that's going to help propel you in the future. So a few basics about the program. As I mentioned, the California Dream Act application is kind of step one, but in order to actually be eligible to apply for the DSIG program, not only do you have to have that, but you have to have an active Cal Grant B award to be able to participate. And so kind of the parameters of this is CSAC, which I mentioned, California Student Aid Commission. They're the ones that execute the program, and you can have up to $3,000 per academic year. So that's going to depend on what your school schedule looks like, semester or quarter, for up to 2,500 students. And the terms of the program, or in terms of how many times you're able to be eligible for it, can be anywhere from 8 semesters to 12 quarters while you have an active Cal Grant B. So, points to drive home there: California Dream Act application, Cal Grant B eligibility award. Next slide. So this one I got right off of CSAC's website. So if you go to their website and you're looking for a lot of resources, they have some really great brochures. I think it's like a 1-page and a trifold. I can't remember which this one is, but this is a really great, simple checklist when you think about, one, are you eligible for DSIG? If you are eligible and you're interested, how do you, in this middle column, what do I do next? You apply, you perform the hours, request the payment. And then the third part here is, where can I perform community or volunteer service, which we're going to talk a little bit about in a second. But you can see here it's broken down really simply in terms of some of the main criteria that a volunteer community service experience needs to fall into in order to qualify for DSIG. So, this is available on the CSAC website. I really encourage you to go read through all of these pieces. There are a lot of great clickables that you'll see on some of the next screenshots that I have. So this is just one moment in time from CSAC's website. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the organizations that can be homes for students who are participating in DSIG. So when we talk about this program and created for hands-on experience, one of the big pieces is one, that this is a nonprofit as defined by 501c3. So this is tax codes, but most, if not all, nonprofits who have been operating for a while are very familiar and can tell you if they are 501c3, C4, et cetera. They can be any federal, state, or local government entity. And then there's a list on the CSAC website, because this could also include your own school. So there might be an opportunity on campus for you to participate in DSIG in a program that your school is actually operating. And it can't just be, an organization that you and your friends made up last year. And, it's just the two of you. This needs to have been established for a minimum of 2 years before the date of your participation. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, there are a lot of really good opportunities. So the parameters about this, I think one of the things is identifying the organization, but next is sort of the type of work. So this is community or volunteer service that, to be clear, is not advocacy of a political sort of space. So this is not partisan, it's nonpartisan, it's not advocacy on a social or religious nature. So it's really straightforward volunteering, community service related activities. And a couple of the examples, I was looking at the list of organizations or facilities that you can participate with DSIG on. So one of them is actually right here in Sacramento, a local animal shelter, right? So one way you could think about this is if you're a student at Sacramento State, if we're talking about CSUs, but if we were talking about UCs, even UC Davis, and maybe you're studying animal science, we have a huge agricultural community out here, you may look for an opportunity through the DSIG program to volunteer or provide community service at an animal shelter and have that be connected to something that you're studying directly, which is another component of this. So the experience, one, has to be a qualifying nonprofit, but two, the volunteer and community service should be tied very closely to your school experience and what you're learning. And so all of that being said, one, you can help grow the list. So when I mentioned that some of these programs are new and we're working out the kinks, and I say we as the royal we, the community, it's how do we make this list big so that students today and tomorrow and years from now have a really great comprehensive list of organizations that they can look at and say, oh, that's in my backyard, or I'm curious about an opportunity with them. But if you have an organization, maybe you and your friends started a nonprofit 5 years ago, right? And that's something that you want to explore. You can reach out to CSAC and you can have paperwork that downloads that you can go to the organization with and figure out, hey, is my organization a fit for this program? And can they identify a lane of work that would qualify for a DSIG? So definitely want to say, help the list of organizations grow. Next slide, please. And then here, just going back to the CSAC website, and thank you, I saw Eva put the link in the chat. So this is just a snapshot of what you might find when you're looking for the list of service organizations. There is a PDF list of the current service organizations that have been approved. There are FAQs if you're thinking about, does your organization that you've identified qualify? Or there are also the paperwork needed for an organization to actually go through the process to be added to the list. So just wanted to make sure people were familiar with that. And there are some great video, like YouTube's, podcasts that have to do with DSIG that are also on the CSAC website. Next slide, please. And then just a coming change. So obviously the DSIG program is meant to be a support in the financial assistance that students get. We know that it's not going to cover everything, but one of the things that came out as a proposed item for the governor's budget this year is actually looking at increasing the stipend amount per hour that students would get. So right now, you have the equivalent of about a $10 an hour wage for your internship or whatever the voluntary service looks like. And this is being proposed to increase to $15 an hour. And so of course, this has to go through the legislative process, the budget process, but if that does shift, those changes would impact the program moving forward. So students would go from earning the $10 an hour to $15 an hour stipend amount. Next slide, please. And again, This has already been linked, but please visit CSAC for all of your DSIG needs or just anything in general. They're a fantastic website, and I'm sure everybody already is very familiar with them. So let's move into Dream Loans. So California Dream Loan. Just a couple of things about this program. So this was, as someone noted earlier, I forget which speaker, I apologize. You know, nobody likes to take out loans. When we talk about financing school, it's like, how can we get all of the money that it's scholarships or any kind of support that isn't necessarily needed to be paid back? Because we all know what that means in terms of borrowing money. It's interest rates, it's making sure that you have a job where you can be able to pay something back in a timely manner. So California actually created the California Dream Loan Program, which is for undocumented students. And this is a California run loan program, and something that's really unique because it's a program that is tailored to an undocumented borrower. And so it's likely that the folks who are going to be borrowing are, you know, first gen, or don't have a lot of experience dealing with private financial institutions or banks or loans. And so this is a learning experience for both the borrower, but also the institutions who are promoting this program and sharing it with students. So next slide. So basic loan program. So I will just say that with the California Dream Loan, it's funded by the state, but also the UC and the CSU system. So this is something that is available to both UC students and CSU students. And it's really to, again, close the gap that we know exists in terms of students accessing higher education and how do they pay for it. So in terms of who is eligible, you have to have graduated from California high school, meet the DREAM Act requirements, California DREAM Act requirements, and be eligible for state and university aid, but ineligible for federal aid, including federal loans. And so in terms of accessing it, this one's a little bit different. Even when I was trying to put together the PowerPoint, I was thinking to myself, like, what is a great one-stop shop for dream loans? But actually the way that this is created, every campus sort of has their own portal or their own information that they promote about dream loans. And I know a couple of folks actually had that in their presentations today. But what's good to know is that each campus will determine how much money they're able to loan out to students. And at this time, there's actually a maximum loan amount, which is capped at about $4,000 per year. And a student can borrow every year if you're eligible at the UC or the CSU, but you max out at $20,000. So while $20,000 is not insignificant as a borrower, in the scope of how much it costs to get an education, you know, it could be considered a drop in the bucket, right? Thinking about the extreme finance that we have to go through to get higher education. And so I just want to make a little plug here that at CHIRLA, we are actually working on legislation this year with folks, so stay tuned for more details, to think about what does it look like to expand how much people are borrowing and to make sure that there are protections in place and financial education so that people understand what it is that they're borrowing, what are the repayment and interest pieces to this, and how to actually access this in a really smart way for the current moment, but also for the future. Next slide, please. And it's really funny that we had the folks from CSU Fullerton on today, because as I was doing my screen grabbing, this Fullerton was one of the first CSUs that popped into my head, and I thought, oh, let's look at their dream loan page. So here it is from Office of Finance. I had no idea we would be on the same presentation, but this is just a little snippet of what you might find if you're looking at your school's information on Dream Loan. And then of course, if you are thinking about a UC or a UC student, there is behind it a snippet of the page for the UC Office of Admissions. They have some information on Dream Loan. And like I said, it's really up to the school about how they promote this. This is also one of the reasons that it's so important that we have Dream Resource Liaisons, that we have folks on campus and centers that are dedicated to promoting the resources and programs for immigrant students, because things like this, right, if you leave them up to the school, could look all different ways, but essentially all the information is the same. And so your school will be able to help you figure out if you're eligible, if you want to go through the process, how to do that with your school's financial institutions, et cetera. And then there's some information on some basic borrowing and knowledge about where the loan is. Next slide. Oh, And that was it. So that was the end of my presentation. I want to just thank everybody for hanging tight. Thank you to the presenters before who have mentioned all of these fantastic programs. I just want to make another plug. If you have any questions about DSIG, please visit the CSAC website. If you have questions about Dream Loan and you're thinking about, if you're a current CSU student, going to your school's website and finding that information, or if you're thinking about a particular campus that you're applying to, I would really recommend going to that campus's website, Googling or putting in the search Dream Loan and seeing what their information looks like in terms of what they can provide on campus. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rita. Thank you to all of our wonderful speakers for giving us this valuable information. For folks that are actually watching this recording at home, if you have any questions, you can contact any one of us on the CDN team. We'll be glad to forward you any information and contacts for our speakers today. I'll leave this up for a couple seconds, right, to make sure y'all have our information. Great. So from here on out, we're going to stop the recording so we can start